So now we're going back to my, as I said, my autobiography, what I was writing in German language, and now because we don't translate it in English, we do a little like summary in various episodes on Uwe Boll raw, basically. And I think I told you a story about German Fright movie, my first movie, 1991. We shot with 60,000 marks. We brought it on our own in the movie theater, just me and Frank Lustig. We basically fulfilled all positions doing that movie. And right after was the Barschel murder in Geneva, about a real case in Geneva. And then the politic was found dead in a bus stop. We said in the movie it was murder. The movie tanked. I thought I'd never make a movie again. Then I did Run Amok. Little infiltrated by Henry Porter of a serial killer. We see the life of a serial killer. We never see the corpse or something. And a very dark, bombastic thing with a 25 minutes end scene in slow motion. Then I thought my life is over. My film career is over. I got a job at Taunus Film, started producing TV stuff, got a lot of experience. Saw also that it's all corruption basically in the film industry. And hooked up with a bigger company who got actually subsidies for my German comedy the first semester, what is kind of a student comedy. Universal released it in Germany. It tanked. It was good in TV and DVD, but in the movie theaters it tanked because they made only 50 prints instead of putting real advertising behind it. So it didn't work out. And then I didn't make the movie for 4 years and tried in my position at Taunus Film to get a fund going, a film fund, where I could collect money from private investors. They could write it off the taxes in the first year where they invest. They get basically half of the money they invest back from the taxes. But of course, they still want that the movies are turning into hits and making money. So it's the opposite to that. What was a lot of times in the press about me, that I was paid to tank movies, or that people were waiting that my movies flop. My investors were like, pro flops. No, but it was the opposite. All the German funds who collected over $30 billion between 1995 and 2005 to Hollywood. 30 billion German money financed Lord of the Rings, Mission Impossible, Rush Hour, etc., like almost half of the US productions. Or let's say 25 to 30% of the US productions at that point get financed by German tax funds. And the government closed that loophole in 2005 because they didn't want it that more money goes to Hollywood. I was the guy with the fund who actually made the movies on my own. And so it was kind of more a German movie because I had a German DP, we made post-production in Germany, I'm a German director, producer, writer, so it made all more sense. And so it took me a long time to get the first movie finished this way and financed by one money collector only, who raised a few $1,000,000, and I did that movie Sanctimony with Region Entertainment, and it was the first time I came up to Vancouver. That was in the year 2000. And I remember when I did the first read-through with the actors, and they were like Casper Van Dien, Eric Roberts, Catherine Oxenberg, Jennifer Rubin, Michael Brewer were in a room in the Sun Place Hotel, and I really got a blackout almost, so I forgot my English, so I had no clue what they were talking about, basically. And I was just kind of silently standing around, listening to it and acting like I understand everything, but that was not the case. And was a little like the beginning with Sanctimony, and then my fund actually recouped way more money as the other funds in a shorter time period, and so but it takes a while. So the second fund did only Blackwoods, a movie I wrote too, and shot it then with Patrick Muldoon, who was kind of like a name, like with Casper Van Dien at that point. They all had a name also because of Starship Troopers. Muldoon and Casper Van Dien had Clint Howard, Michael Paré again, Michael Eklund, and that is the reason I did Blackwoods on the script. I wrote both scripts, but then had US writers like rewriting it, fixing it, making it more adjustable to the US market. But the basic idea of End of Second Millennium was kind of an American Psycho idea. Like you have a serial murder, again, one of my favorite subject matters in my film history, of course, was serial murders, amok runs, as you saw with Rampage, Seed, and so on. And and the original title on Sanctimony was End of the Second Millennium, but then I changed. It was changed to Sanctimony because when we finally delivered the movie, the End of the Second Millennium was already over. So that was the reason. And but the shoot went very well, and Region Entertainment was very happy about it. I went to Cannes, made a little premiere, sold the movie, and of course betrayed me. And I sued them, and I won, but they paid only half of it. I mean, that is the whole thing with Hollywood. You know, it's all like bluff. As long as they take your money away, they are happy. Otherwise, they are trying to squeeze you out your money. So it's all completely bullshit. On the second movie, Blackwoods, the basic idea was that, so back to Millennium's End quick, Sanctimony, the idea is like if you're really rich, you're above the law, so people don't prosecute you if you're like high up. And on Blackwoods, the initial idea was, what is if you cannot trust anybody anymore? What is if everything turns out to be the opposite as what you think, like the woman you love hates you, actually wants to kill you, stuff like this. So it was a nice kind of twisted thriller, Blackwoods, and it turned out to recoup or 50-60% very quickly. But also that distributor, RGH Lion's Share, Eric Lucille, absolutely piece of shit, betrayed us, stole. I still paid more money as the other funds. So the reason my fund went up in Germany, I raised more and more money, but at the same time I was betrayed. I got the judgment against them. They never paid me. I met Eric Lucille at one point in the AFM, the American Film Market in Los Angeles, and he's like to me like, giving money to you is like feeding a dead horse. You know, and I was in public, so I couldn't smash him into a pile, but that fat fucking pig is exactly what he would basically deserve, is that I would put out a baseball stick and smash him into a pulp. Pieces like shit destroying like the film industry, because they're only waiting for like people they are fantasizing about making movies and raising some money, and then they betray them, and they betray then the investors and make things going away, and making financing going away, and destroying the dreams and life dreams of a lot of people. You know, yeah, that was then Blackwoods, and then right after Blackwoods, I had my fund number 3 going, and that fund collected so much money that I could do Heart of America about school violence. Elizabeth Moss, we know her now from West Wing and so on. Brendan Fletcher, and that was the thing about the Littleton school massacres, what I wrote, and I was really emotional into it, and I think it was a very, very good movie, Out of America. Ron Howard loved it, Clint Howard is in it, Michael Paré, Clint Howard maybe even in his best part, in his best role, and so excellent movie, and very intense. Brendan Fletcher in it as a bully, Will Sanderson, my best buddy at that point, who is now a doctor in Kentucky, in it, and it was very intense, very good, got to a few festivals, and it lost 75% of the budget. So nobody wanted to see it, and because we raised more money, so I was able to do Alone in the Dark. But before Alone in the Dark, Mindfire Entertainment came to me with Sega's video game House of the Dead. And they said, you want to do a zombie movie? We have the rights. It's a famous video game. Hundreds of millions of people play it. And based on the flop on Heart of America, I felt like, you know what? I like Dawn of the Dead from George Romero, the classics, whatever. Let's do a zombie movie, and let's make it based on a video game, even if I'm not a video gamer. So, and we did House of the Dead. Until today, it's the most profitable movie we did.
I want you to change the world. We need to kill the rich. billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags. You hang them from the first tree that you can find. We need to do this together.
The President of the United States is dead. The nation is in shock.
I tried to show you the world for what it is, and you stood idly by. You people, you're obsessed with violence. You're focused on my body count rather than what I was telling you. You tried to catch me before. What's gonna change now?
That's Bill Williamson.
Oh, he's alive?
He wants us to follow him. He's getting ready for us.
There's you and me, your best men, a lot of followers out there. They know where you live. Say goodbye to your families.
Hey, Bill! We're right here, buddy! You want to be a man and come out?
Okay, welcome to Camp Bill. Thanks for playing, boys.
I just killed your president. I just killed your president. President is dead. The president is dead.
Bingo!
So, here is Uwe Boll, and over the weekend that stupid Alice movie about Johnny Depp, with Johnny Depp, Tim Burton, flopped. I hated that movie from the beginning on. I mean, that's strange stuff, totally absurd, but I hate X-Men also, an $80 million box office. They're almost voting it as flop, but, I mean, it's of course not a flop, but it's really another shitty bullshit movie what nobody needs. But I just watched the new other Adam Sandler movie, what he did for Netflix after The Ugly Eight or whatever it was. That movie, what he did now is a crime, kind of crime story. Another one, The Downfall of Adam Sandler, an absolutely disaster. But I saw also Grandma with Lily Tomlin, very good movie. She plays a very gritty, assholey lesbian grandma, and the granddaughter comes and needs money for an abortion. Then they go to the mother and get the money. Finally, they do the abortion. Small story, but very good acting, aggressive, very good. Then I watched with Bill Murray and Melissa McCarthy, St. Vincent or something. St. Vincent, yeah, where he plays that crazy person, the crazy neighbor who took care of the kid. Heartwarming, excellent movie. One of the best movies of the year. Bill Murray at his best, and all the other actors absolutely also. Melissa McCarthy, not overdrive. She plays the mother of the kid. Very good. I would totally recommend it. And so also the movie I watched, I think the Let's Walk to Remember, whatever, Robert Redford and Nick Nolte, where they're both old now, and they go on a walking trip. Also entertaining, very good movie. Would recommend it. All on demand, of course, right now. And I watched on HBO the thing about Lyndon B. Johnson when he took over presidency after Kennedy was shot, and got the Civil Rights Bill passed, and the whole thing with Martin Luther King. Bryan Cranston, excellent, that whole movie, I have to say. Very, very good HBO production, 2 hours, 10 minutes, would totally recommend it. And so also, just watching Silicon Valley, the new season on HBO. It's hilarious, I laugh my ass off, my favorite show right now on TV.
A dark force threatens to take over the world. There comes a time when we need heroes to champion our freedoms. Cristiano Loken, Matt Davis, with Michelle Rodriguez, Michael Madsen, Billy Zane, Meatloaf Day, and Academy Award winner Ben Kingsley. Bloodrayne. The adventure begins.
They throwed a lot of dirt at each other. Trump came back after the sexual tape stuff with to Clinton that he always grabbed people and almost fucked every woman who runs around. And I think it's understandable. I mean, if you look at Hillary Clinton, you would actually fuck almost everybody who's around. It's easier to understand that Bill Clinton fucked everybody as Arnold Schwarzenegger when he actually fucked that super ugly Mexican housekeeper. If he had Maria Shriver as an alternative opportunity, or any other good-looking woman, you know. So it's kind of strange how everything works out. I think in Melanie Trump's face a little this kind of, I fucking hate that guy who bought me in a catalog in Eastern Europe. So, I mean, that is the reality right now. Now Clinton and Trump, they really hate each other. And more interesting is the substantial talk about a few things, I think, where Trump is absolutely right, is the whole fucked up Middle East policy. And it's a huge mistake to replace Assad, who is a murderer, absolutely. But before the revolution started in Syria, Assad only murdered 50 people a year, right? So for a dictator, not a bad quote, basically. And right now, after all the dictators got removed and replaced by absolutely chaos and crazy people, to stick more with Russia, Iran, Syria, and Assad to fight then together ISIS and leave Assad in power is the better step right now. Also to stop then the bomb shit on Aleppo, where a lot of children die. You know, that is the thing. America always says, yeah, Russia and Assad, they're killing Aleppo, everybody, the poor children are dying. That is true, but it would not happen anymore if US would not feed the ultra-Muslim rebels with weapons to fight against Assad. You know, if the defense would be gone, the first thing what would stop is the killing. You know, similar like Ukraine, when part of Ukraine was taken over by Russia, the discussion was over and there is no killing anymore, at least. You know, if it's justice, no. But is it justice to kill non-stop people with a drone, pulverizing 40 innocent people to kill one person with a drone, what Obama is doing all the time? Is that justice? You know, all that CIA operations in every country in Africa, is that justice? Is it justice that America supports Saudi Arab killing in Yemen tons of civilists day by day in saying we fight terrorism? No, it's not. So forget the whole justice thing. Now it's about being clever, and I think the Middle East thing, Trump is more clever in not having that agenda against Russia at all. I mean, what we want, nuclear war with Russia, or because of a few idiotic mullahs somewhere? So it doesn't make sense. It would be better to work together there with Putin and Assad. Where Trump is, of course, a completely retarded idiot, is his tax plans. Because he basically said he spends for everything money. People have Medicare, people get everything. And he helps the small person, putting the taxes down from 35 to 15%. That sounds good. But you have to say at the same time, that will maybe work within 4, 5, 6 years later. Lower taxes, create more income, more consume, people spend more money, people maybe having more jobs, more industry stays in America. That could all happen, but it will not happen on day one. On day one, what happens is that the US budget from like 1.2 trillion a year goes down to 400 billion a year. But the US military budget alone is 500 billion a year. So you have to say, okay, here are two options. We're cutting everything down, like nobody gets anything anymore. The military gets cut in half. The military budget gets cut in half. What Trump doesn't want to do, because he says in all his speeches how shitty the military is, and flying with old Second World War B-52 bombers around the globe. So if that is the case, what is of course completely made up and bullshit, the American army is the most technology advanced army, the biggest one, the strongest one. So to put more money in military is completely absurd. But so you have to say, we will go huge in debt. And that Trump says the whole time, the debt is like out of control, blah, 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 blah. I know, but it will be the first 2 years of his presidency. The debt will be completely escalating for another 1.5 trillion up. if he lowers the taxes. Because if you don't pay 35% in taxes and only 15%, of course, you will have a massive tax loss as government of the United States. And that nobody really points that out enough. That is a totally different attitude, And the biggest problem, that's the reason I'm still like, in a way, it's so absurd because everybody, of course, wants that Hillary Clinton should be president because she's a calculated risk. And that is absolutely true. And I would also vote for Hillary Clinton if I could vote. But the reality is that Trump points out a lot of absolutely true things. Like he said, like the Democratic Party fought against Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders would won that election process, but they killed him basically because they didn't want him as a candidate. It's true. It's also true that Hillary Clinton deleted 33,000 emails overnight to cover up what she did with the emails. It's true, but is it super important? No, but it shows the character. The Clinton Foundation collected hundreds and hundreds of millions of euro and dollars over the last 10 years in, of course, it's lobby money. Of course, they give them only the money if they get something in exchange. Of course, Clinton is completely bought by companies, oil industry, everything. And it's also, of course, a total shame that Clinton, basically whatever they collect, if somebody donates $100 million, like the Canadian here from Vancouver, Frank Justra, 90 million going into overhead of the Clinton Foundation means for their life spending, flying with private jets, whatever, or for campaign, who knows what they're doing with the money. And only 10 million actually goes in a course. That is like basically what the Clinton Foundation is. And that is like, Donald Trump's foundation never collected any money or a lot of money. And of course, it never went in any charity because he's a egocentric prick who only wants to get richer on his own. But the problem, what most of the people have, and I have the same problem, is you don't want to vote for Clinton because she is bought, she is corrupt, and that is the huge problem. If Bernie Sanders would run against Trump, it would be so crystal clear. Here, the Lord of Darkness. Here, somebody who has a real idea how our future should look like, and he got only the grassroots marketing, the grassroots money also. Like millions and millions of people gave Bernie Sanders $50. But Hillary Clinton got. With her husband in the foundation, basically, whatever 100 people giving her 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, 80 million. It's crazy. So she is, of course, the president for some industries in America. She's a big Monsanto friend. She is a big Wall Street friend, a big Silicon Valley friend, a big Hollywood friend. So, and that is the saying. And she's a hawk too. She is a military person. And she confronts always the wrong people. That's the whole thing. Her military policy is basically completely bullshit. Did she said anything in the campaign about closing Guantanamo Bay? Or whatsoever, it's like more of the same, and that is, I think, what the American voters also hate to see, because they don't believe in Washington anymore. And the first time, I don't think they ever believed in Washington, but I think this time, a lot of Americans are actually ready to vote Washington out, like to say, no, it's over. Like whoever is doing something else, we would vote for the parking spot guy to be president before we want another real politic guy who is paid and bought for in Washington. And I think that is actually a very good tendency in the run right now, that there is a kind of a fire in the people, different as in Germany, where whatever you vote for, in the end, is always the same. They do a coalition out of a few parties, and then the same people do the same politics. But in US, there is the chance for, because of the money, there is that situation, where you have the feeling they really, really want kind of a revolution. They really want kind of a maverick, and it's too bad that maverick now in the run is not Bernie Sanders anymore, who really wanted to do the important stuff, like in regards of unarming the banks and regulating the banks and stuff like this. So that is the thing. It's a super shitty situation, and more like the weeks before the election now, the stomach is crunching up to everybody, and we all feel like, oh God, horrific Hillary Clinton will win, or like the completely, like whatever, Donald Trump, crazy person, will win. It was funny when they said, what happens to Trump Industries when you're president? I'm not interfering anymore. My son and my daughter will lead it and rule it, even if they said, like, during your presidency, all your private investments or whatever have to be, like, out of your hands in a third-party trustee, so that you don't, whatever, say, oh, I don't bomb Dubai because I have 2 hotels there, and even if they just throw an atom bomb on New York City, we should bomb them because of the hotels, right? So, I mean, that is the thing where you feel like, Trump, of course, will use the presidency only for one reason, to get richer. What is, of course, crystal clear. But at least he's not like hiding it too much, right? So he's like saying, I want to serve the American people, but everybody knows he doesn't mean it. He always meant that he only serves himself. And it's not so much like two-faced like Clinton, who said, I'm always there for the small people, whatever, but she's not. That is how she started, to get a good like political startup point that everybody felt. The little attorney, little Hillary, she's fighting for Eidos and the black kids or whatever, but that is over since 25 years. Since 25 years, they're only shuffling money up there. Yeah, let's see what the third campaign brings. The third debate next week, Las Vegas, the last one, and then it's all over. I think they will all get bored in Las Vegas finally from Sheldon Adelson, the little tiny prick from Las Vegas.
One way, どこまで行けば do 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 every day 見えない明日へ do 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 どんなストーリーがどこにあるか One way 近づく本当に do 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 世界震えて Open up do 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 しようぜ Xbox 360
The House of the Dead, the disasters, what happened there, for example, with the flare gun burning Johnson Sherry's arm on. We had another one where Ona Grauer had a pump gun, I said, shoot in the camera, shoot basically in the lens. And actually there was a little bullet coming out, so we had a long lens, and the camera, the bullet actually went through the lens, almost to the eye of the camera guy. All the way through the lens, destroyed a $100,000 lens. And then the night where we said we blow up the house, we had 160 kilogram like C4, like plastic explosion dynamite basically. And it took like 4 or 5 hours to prep the house, and was like John's sleep doing it. And then there was actually the main entrance door of the house was solid wood. And like when the explosion happened, 3 or 4 o'clock in the night, the door came all the way forward, and if you see it in the movie again, it landed right in front of the camera. And didn't smash the camera, what was actually good. By the way, we smashed the camera on Blackwoods, where we had that turntable car from Twister. If you see in Blackwoods again, the car crash. So that car turned and turned and turned, and the camera was attached to the door, and it looks like, so you can film actually the actor in the car turning around. Richard Gere used that in one movie too. So, and we smashed the whole camera, also $100,000 insurance case. So, and House of the Dead till today was the most successful, profitable movie I ever did. And so the investors out in Germany of my fund and everybody said, please keep going with that video game based movies. And that is why I went in contact to a lot of video game companies, saw what they had, tried to get some games. For example, I got from Eidos Fear Effect, never did the movie. I wanted from Eidos Hitman, and they promised I get the movie. Then I didn't get it. Then Vin Diesel got it and never made it. And then in the end, the French guys that made it with who played Hitman in the end? Not Jason Statham. I had actually Jason Statham interested in doing it, but then Timothy Olyphant played it, right? So I did Alone in the Dark, and Lionsgate was all excited because Artisan Pictures released House of the Dead in the US, made $11 million box office, was very happy with it, did over $20 million in DVD, and then Lionsgate bought Artisan. And Steve Beeks went, for example, from Artisan to Lionsgate, one of the bosses of Lionsgate now. And then Alone in the Dark, they totally failed in doing the campaign. And also Christian Slater, Stephen Dorff, they like always, the actors, stupid idiots, they refused to do a lot of press for it. And so the movie made only $6 million box office. What is now in 2016, 2015, all the time happening with movies with big stars. But at that point, 2004, 2003, 2004, it was unusual that made only so less money. DVD, Alone in the Dark, did very well. Other countries like Germany, we started number 2 in the box office. And but it didn't really work out. But because all that 3 movies, Heart of America, House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, were in one fund, the fund still did good enough for a lot of investors to even give me more money. So now we were in the year 2001, 2002, raised more money so I could do Bloodrayne and go higher with the cast. You know, spending more money, went to Romania and in Alone in the Dark, before I forget that, like in Alone in the Dark, the shootout in front of the Britannia mine where the monsters attacking and everybody shoot, that was the loudest shootout in Vancouver's history ever shot. And they shoot X-Men here and all kinds of stuff, Fantastic Four. And all the stunt people till today say that was the biggest gun scene ever shot in Vancouver, with like 300-400 guns shooting parallel, full loaded blanks. It was like the inferno. Even if you had like the thing on your ears, it was so loud it was impossible to communicate everything. Yeah, that was Alone in the Dark. The rest of Alone in the Dark worked very well. Besides, as we all know, Tara Reid, who was a disaster, and all that stuff. What happened with Ben Affleck in the city and Christian Slater partying with him at Brandy's at the strip clubs and everything. And then Ben Affleck broke up or Jennifer Lopez broke up with him. I think it was all true, what was in the National Enquirer about it. But, and then Bloodrayne, I felt, okay, Majesco video game, let's do it in Romania. And where the real Vlad Dracul comes from. Sighișoara is his house where he was born. We actually shot there. It's a restaurant now, as normal. And the real Dracula castle is more touristic. We couldn't shoot there, so we shot at the Hunădura castle. And then in Romania, besides prostitutes running around on the streets offering blowjobs for $5, in Romania, overall, the food is really disastrous. And the shooting conditions were really disastrous. So the first opening was, we were in the studio, worked with Media Pro Studios, and they betrayed us, and so we had to basically almost pull the plug on them. And then there were a lot of street dogs, so I picked my dog Daisy, who is here at my office right now, from there too, and they treated her like shit too. But because the first few days she followed me and my other dog Laura, and then I really told to the studio boys at Media Pro, if you close my office door one more time overnight, that dog cannot go in my office to sleep, I pulled the plug on the whole fucking movie. So, and then my office door was always open, right? So they had that security guards. They always closed all the office doors. And but the Daisy was used to sleep there. And then after a few days, I took her to the hotel. She peed in the elevator in the hotel. I said, like, stop peeing. And she never peed or shit in the house again. That is how clever street dogs are. And every day I was feeding that street dogs everywhere. I had a big dry fruit 40-kilo bag in my car. And on the way from the hotel to the shooting, we always stopped on various corners, and that street dogs were already waiting for me. That was really important impressions. And Christina Loken took a dog, and even Michael Madsen took a dog. What was maybe not so good for the dog. And Michelle Rodriguez took a cat, and then Clark, the producer, took a dog. So that was the gift for me, the most impression. And the second most impression was that shitty food. And, but that are this kind of shootings. You make a movie like Bloodrayne, you know, and then you feel like, wow, great times. Like years later, after you're behind it, you know, we also had like a scene, we drove and then the dog ran into the car, under the car, and were flying behind me. Like, he was like dead, right? He was flying through the air and the driver never stopped. And then we were on another road, we drove, and like wild horses came and chased us on the road like crazy. Then another day, directly in front of us, a horse carriage wagon came and a big truck, fuel truck, smashed that horse carriage thing, and the horse was flying into 1,000 pieces. Like the head was flying in the thing. Unbelievable, a total bloodbath. And we didn't even stop. Like that Romanian driver was like, so, and then there was like, as soon as we went to the mountains, we had a shooting like a big massacre scene. I had Olaf Ittenbach, the splatter guy, doing the blood effects. It's the reason like Bloodrayne is really gory and sexy. I didn't want it to do the PG-13 bullshit, Electra bullshit, but I really wanted to give it to the fans in blood, gore, and sex. And then in a monastery, and I was with Matthias Neumann in front of the monastery, and in front where we were filming overnight, always that massacre stuff, everything was super muddy. And then he said like, look on the other street corner, like in the random small town, that looks like my suitcase. And it was his suitcase, just dumped from the driver in the middle of the street, instead of driving the suitcase to the hotel where we went. And that brought me to the next thing, the hotel I was, because I had the dogs at that point with me. So I took Daisy to the whole trip, and Laura too. So I came home at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning from the shoot, and we were horrifically dirty. The dogs were horrifically dirty. So I dragged the dogs in the shower, showered them, showered myself, and then I recognized there is no towel in my room. So I had to take the bed sheets to dry everybody. And then I went in the lobby, nobody was there. And the next, I waked up around lunchtime, whatever. I waked up and told the concierge, I said, clean my fucking room, bring me towels. It looks like a total shithole. And then we shot again the whole night. And I came at 5 o'clock in the morning back to the hotel room, opened the door, and it was untouched. And nobody was in the hotel anymore. And the dogs, everything was dirty again. So I had to shower again, but we had nothing to dry. Like zero. Only the dirty bed sheets from the day before were on the ground, what we reused and everybody. And the dogs were sleeping on the ground in the dirty bed sheets. And I just slept on the mattress, 100% full of fleas and everything. And the pillow and the blankie had no sheets anymore because it was all used. Welcome in Romania. It was an absolutely disaster. And at the same time, a great experience. Even with the drunk Michael Madsen, who told me his whole life. He peed in the sink in front of me, Michael Madsen, told me his whole life story, started crying, saying Michael Madsen found dead in a hotel room. Michael Madsen found dead in a hotel room. And I was sitting there, good weather outside, and I was like in his shitty hotel room and had to listen to him for 1.5 hours. Every take, he lost it, he forgot his lines, he did whatever he wanted. Then Michelle Rodriguez came to the set, always changed her lines. And the best was Gwyneth Turner, who always bashes me in front of everybody. She was so full of shit. She wrote a shitty script, looked her up on IMDb. Like, she barely has any writing credit. She's just an actress and cannot write, let's face it. And then she had nothing else to do as later blaming me for something. We fixed her script. Her script was a disaster. And then we paid for it, and she didn't even, delivered rewrites as per contract. I mean, to then go out and blame me, I'm crazy, is really funny, I have to say, you know, so unbelievable. But there are the experiences, and she got good for Bloodrayne, by the way. And I thought she can write because of American Psycho, but she was not the only writer on American Psycho, right? So, that is it. You go through your experiences, and so Bloodrayne was overall a very interesting experience from all sides, I have to say. And one day I was jogging through the forest, and I had Laura only with me at that point. It was very early, and then there were like 50 wild dogs. Look, we run right into it, and they were like, and they all came from all sides. Laura was in between my legs, and she was a black shepherd, right? She died last year. And then and I walked by and I said like, go away, go away, go away. So they didn't bid us, but it was a tough situation for 30, 40, 60 seconds. So the next day, I did the same thing again and put in my backpack tons of dog food and ran into them. And they all came again, like flipping completely out of me. And I opened my backpack and started throwing the food out. And one day later, on my jogging run, were 25 wild dogs happily following me. Jogging. That is how you treat animals and how you go for it. So that was Bloodrayne, Romania, the dark Romania. Perfect.